I have Sebastian Quintero here in the podcast, a seasoned veteran insurance agent and agency owner. Sebastian, what's going on, bro? How are you?
What's poppin', man?
Good to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, Q. So, well, we're gonna call you Q in the pod. He goes by Q as well.
It's fine.
It's good with you? All right, cool.
It's perfect.
So, Q, what we're gonna do, bro, is this is meant to be, in a sense, kind of a training video. We want to see if we can kind of walk us through the things that you go through, what you've gone through in a sense, and some pointers that you can give to some of the agents that are gonna watch this, and hopefully provide a little bit of value, man.
Sure.
Cool with you?
Absolutely.
Perfect, Q. So, why don't we start? How long you been in insurance? Kind of walk us through your experience, and then we'll jump into the training.
We're almost in February now?
Yeah.
Mid-January, almost 7 years.
7 years?
Wow. Yeah.
It's a long time, bro. That's
Almost 7 years.
Yeah, you don't have any white hairs, man. It doesn't make no sense.
I got 4.
And what you do before?
I was working at T-Mobile and Sprint.
Gotcha.
Just like a bunch of us were.
Yeah, I think the vast majority of the people that work with us came from telecom.
They built good salesmen.
It translates well, bro.
Yeah,
for sure. And all right, so you started 7 years ago. Walk me through what you were selling then, and then we'll kind of get into what you do now.
It was private healthcare, U.S. Health Advisors.
Okay.
Private health insurance.
How long did you do that for?
5 years. Around five and a half years.
And then you went independent, no? After.
Correct. Yeah, it was a captive agency. Right. And then I went independent. Well, I took like close to a year off of work.
Okay.
Yeah, just got out of insurance just to take a little break.
Yeah, was it you quit or you just took an intentional break?
Stepped away, yeah. Stepped away for a bit, got back into it, and then, but I was just traveling, enjoying life.
Good for you, bro.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I went to Europe, Italy. I've been to Italy twice since then. Colombia.
Got it.
And then just relaxing.
Nice.
Honestly.
Awesome, bro. Good for you. So what do you think the biggest difference between being captive and being independent? Let's start there.
Independent is the way to go.
Yeah.
100%.
Also.
I mean, being a captive agent, U.S. Health for sure changed my life without a doubt. I'm super, super grateful for it. But if there's one really, really tough lesson that I learned about that experience, and I don't think it's so much about being captive. Being independent, there's a lot more flexibility. You have more options to, provide people and all that, which is very important when it comes to, being a professional in this career.
Of course.
But the hardest lesson that I learned was actually not reading the contract that I signed.
Okay.
So it had to do with it was a captive contract, but it's not because I was captive that I learned that hard lesson.
Got it.
I didn't look at the fine print, and then all the hard work that I put in over close to 5.5 years, the residuals, the book of business, call it, was taken away rather quickly.
Yeah.
And it was my own fault. It wasn't the company's fault.
Right.
It was me for basically unintentionally breaching contract.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's
you gotta read what you're signing.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a tough way to learn, and I know how much money you lost. I know it was a lot. So let's talk about those first few years first, because I think a lot of the success you see now comes from years of experience and all the legwork you put in.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's the model when it comes to the hours you were working, the calls you were dialing? Walk me through what that looked like.
At least for the first year, I worked 7 days a week, maybe even the first year and a half. It was 7 days a week. Start at 8 a.m. and I would finish most days no earlier than 9. Would stay as late as 10, sometimes 11, sometimes midnight if it was open enrollment.
Wow.
Monday through Friday for sure. Saturdays were non-negotiable. I would get in around 8, 9 a.m., work until 4, 5. And Sundays, I'll probably put in 5 hours a day on Sundays.
So working, 12 hours was a short day for you.
Yeah, for sure. 600 calls a day, no less. And that's closing deals or not closing deals. I could be having a great day and still make 600 calls.
Yeah, and how'd you buy into that, bro? What made you say, fuck it, I'm just going to work 13-hour days, 14-hour days? Because you were young. 7 years ago, you were in your 20s, no, early 20s?
Yeah, I got into insurance at 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does a 23-year-old in Miami get convinced to work 14-hour days, 7 days a week?
I was without a job, man. I was jobless for 3 months. But I always had the fire in me, man. I went...
it's gotta be more than that, for sure, right?
Yeah, I went from Sprint to T-Mobile, which, it was a step in the right direction, at least in that industry. You make a little more and whatnot. And I ended up losing my job at T-Mobile for dumb shit again.
Your fault.
My fault, 100%. And I didn't want to take a step backwards, dude. I could have gone back to Sprint, no problem. That was before they merged, so I could have gotten my job back very, very easily at the Prado store, right? Yeah. I could have gone back to any other gigs that I had before, because I always did well for myself for my age. I always made more than the people around me. It wasn't what we know we can make nowadays, but I could always go back to the other jobs, but I never wanted to, because it's either step forward or that's it. There's no other option but stepping forward for me. So I went without a job for 3.5 months, and I was getting a little desperate. You know, I was like, damn, dude, like, what am I gonna do? I already dropped out. You know, I can go back to school, but I didn't drop out to go back.
You're 23, so like,
and I had a neighbor that he kept telling me for like over a year. He's like, man, you should check out insurance. If you're a good salesman, you should check it out. And I'm like, nah, dude, I don't think so. I was judging my neighbor a little tough, a little hard. He was like 33 years old at the time and always playing video games in his boxers at his crib. And so I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna take your advice on a career path, like respectfully to him. And I love the guy. I was like, man, he's like a loser, dude. Like, what is he doing with his life?
I mean, maybe this is not politically correct, but it's like a fat person giving you advice on how to lose weight.
Basically, that's how I looked at it. And 3.5 months, no work. I'm running out of money. And we run into each other outside, and again, he's like, "You sure you don't want to check this out? I made $2,500 this week."
Oh, so he was working at this time in insurance.
He was working from home, yeah. And that's when I was like, oh, "Wait a second." I was like, "Now you're no longer a loser playing video games in your boxers. You're a guy that's making $2,500 a week.
You're a fucking gangster
playing video games in your boxers. Like, I'm interested." And he got me an interview with this guy named Ian Whiteman at US Health, and again, dude, I was desperate. I remember he was giving me, this is actually where I got the technique for recruiting from Ian, the guy that hired me. He gave me all the bad shit at first. He's like, hey man, there's no hourly, there's no salary, there's no benefits. And I was like, that's okay. Like in my head, I'm like, I need to make money. Yeah. This is after you show me the numbers, of course.
Well, of course, show me some deposits.
Maybe. And he's like, we work every single day, Monday through Friday. I'm like, that's fine. He's like, we do weekends too. I'm like, all right. This was in Las Olas, and I was living in West Kendall. He's like, you got to drive 2 hours here every single day. I said, okay.
Yeah, I think it's all about timing, bro.
Yeah.
Had he offered you that when you were at T-Mobile, you probably would have told him to go kick rocks.
Well, maybe not. I mean, it all comes down to the numbers. Yeah. If he showed me the numbers and I like what I see, and just explain to me in a general way how it is how do we get there, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, and I think it's all perspective too. You know.
Yeah.
Like, numbers are important. Is it real? Is it sustainable? I mean, obviously it is, but believing it is, you got to see it first. All right, so 23, no job, probably broke because you're 23 with no job, so odds are you ain't got a lot of money.
Yeah.
At what point did you know it was for you? Like, you don't really see success in the first week in insurance. So at what point was there a moment that you're like, shit, I could do this? Did you know right away?
I mean, like I told you earlier, bro, I think we can do anything, you know? For me, it's, if you show me something that's been done already, and I can see who's done it, and it's what I want, that's more than enough for me. And even the things that haven't been done, all the things that have been done at one point hadn't been done before.
Gotcha.
So day one, really, before I even got hired, before I took my exam, I was like, this is the kind of money you can make in this industry. This is what you can do in this career. Then I don't care what it is, I'll do it.
I was the same way.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought I wasn't gonna make it. You know, when I was fucking Johnny in chargebacks, I always knew that I was in the right place. So when you got trained, let's go a little bit on the mindset. Let's fast forward, a year, 2 years. How do you keep, or how were you able to keep and sustain the level of intensity that maybe, when you were new and you were excited and you were eager to figure out how you can go make that money. Okay, you start making the money. It's human nature to let off the gas once you start kind of accomplishing, or not even accomplishing goals, but once you start seeing a little bit of success. Obviously, you've been able to get way past what most people do in this industry. Most people quit the first year. How are you able to sustain, how are you able to still get up and make the calls, and how are you able to work 12, 13 hours, 7 years in? Like, talk about that a little bit.
I think it's just like a reality check behind like what I want out of life, really. I mean, even the first time I broke 6 figures, like it was nice, it was worth celebrating, I was very proud, but the reality is it's just not enough for what I want.
Right.
That's all it really comes down to.
Gotcha.
You know, like it's good money that we make in insurance, but how much is it going to take?
Right.
And there's never a number. You know,
yeah.
there really is never a
keeps
number.
Moving,
Yeah.
You keep pushing that goalpost further and further as you can. Yeah.
So I remember like I offered to retire my mom once, and I was like, cool, like this is a great accomplishment. This is a nice milestone that I hit in my life. I'm like, cool, I can retire her. Like she'll be all right, but I can't retire myself.
Yeah.
The job's not done.
100%.
You know,
that's
like
at the end, not in the middle. Yeah.
the job's not done. So I think. And I mean, every time you chase dopamine, dude, like you hit certain milestones, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're just a hustler at heart, like you always raising the bar, right? Like the standard just always goes up and up and up. And I've got this, so now I want this, and now I want this, and now I want this. And
100%.
it could be dangerous. It could be unhealthy.
Yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
That's scary, but ultimately that's why.
Cool. So let's talk about that part, because obviously you're in good shape, but I know you're a workaholic, but taking care of your mental is important because you can burn yourself out. What are some of the things or tips maybe that you can give people watching that to stay checked in mentally and not get fried a year or 2 years in?
I mean, I definitely burned out for sure. I was gonna say try to have some balance, but I think that's bullshit. I don't think there is balance.
Yeah, you're lying to them.
Yeah, one of my old uplines, a mentor of mine, his name was Luke Gerasi at US Health. He says that he doesn't believe in balance, but he tries to look for harmony. And
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, and that's totally different, because I think as an entrepreneur, especially in insurance or any line of work, I think where you're self-employed, that there's no such thing as balance. Yeah. So he actually gave me some tough advice once. Not tough advice, but I wasn't expecting it. He did some one-to-ones with my team at the time and giving them feedback, getting to know the team and so on and so forth. And I remember asking him, I was taking him to the airport because he was going to go back to Georgia. And I asked him, like, hey man, where's my one-to-one? And he's like, oh, we'll do it right now. It's going to take 5 minutes. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, all right. I'm like, what do you have for me? He goes, you look like shit. I'm like, what the hell is this?
He's not what you were expecting.
So yeah, I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, listen, man, like I know you. And I was younger at the time. He's like, I know you. He's like, you're operating at 60% right now. And I was younger and more arrogant. And I was like, man, if this is what 60% is, like, this is pretty damn good, dude. Like, all these other guys suck, you know, some dumb shit like that. And he goes, yeah, but imagine if you're at 100. I'm like, oh, okay. So, like, he gave me 2 rules. He's like, you're working 7 days a week. Don't do that anymore. He said, pick one day out of the week where you take a half day. And then pick another day out of the week where you actually take a day off and like just go enjoy life or run errands or whatever.
Just chill.
Yeah. And I started doing that and things got a lot better. Production went up. My team was doing better. I was more present. I was more energized. You know, I wasn't drinking 5 monsters a day or anything like that.
Gotcha, yeah.
And then I kind of like that made me realize how much is actually, how much work you're actually putting in during your workday. Like a lot of people say that they're working 12 hours, but are they actually? No. And I realized that myself. I said, I'm here in the building for 12 hours, but I'm not actually working for 12 hours. So like, I'm not getting as much work done as I should be getting done, and I'm still burning myself out. This doesn't really make sense. So just allocating time and having more of a structure to the workday, I think is super important. Especially...
I was so sorry. My bad. I didn't want to interrupt, but before I forget. So the productive part. Somebody taught me, well, I actually watched it on a YouTube video. It was meant to educate, so he did his job because it educated me. But to set a timer on your phone, and every 15 minutes, you got to make sure that you're doing something that's productive.
Have you heard of the Pomodoro method?
I have not, but is it similar to that?
It's similar.
Yeah. So he stole it from Summer.
30-minute blocks. Okay. So it's 25 minutes of pure focus, 5 minutes off.
Got it.
So it's 25 minutes of dialing or doing presentations or admin work, whatever it is, and then 5 minutes to take a break to do whatever you want. You can scroll on your phone, go on TikTok, Instagram, whatever the fuck 100%. It is. And you do that, I don't know, 3-4 times before actually taking a break for the day, and you do it again for the rest of the day.
Pretty good day in sports.
And I remember I tried that for the first time when I heard about it, and I had my timer on for 25 minutes, and I'm working, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm killing it. There's got to be like 6 minutes left on this timer. Dude, it had been like 8 minutes.
It's the way it works.
I was 8 minutes in, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm super unproductive.
And define productive in your opinion, because some people think calling the carrier is productive, and at least in our business, that's not really, like when I mean tracking it, especially depending obviously on what your goals are and where you are in your career, but if you're a new agent and you're trying to get out of a hole financially, and you just gotta go to work, or not even go to work, go to war and find a way to get out. It's got to be money producing activities.
Yeah, income producing activities for sure. I mean, if there is nothing else to do, you should be trying to make money.
Bro, fucking DM people on social media if you have
exactly.
To. Yeah,
exactly. Like it's very common for a new agent to, I don't know, let's say they have 100 leads. You can get through that in like 30 minutes if nobody answers, right? If there's nothing else to do, if you're not messaging people on Instagram or putting yourself out there in some way, shape, or form, then call the leads again. Like, I never really cared. That's why I love phone sales. Like, I don't care. I don't know you. Whoever I'm calling, they can get mad at me. They can curse at me. They can think I'm the worst person in the world or whatever they think of me. They're never going to meet me in person, most likely, especially if they're starting off.
And they're not here. They don't see you.
Yeah, so you might as well try.
It's actually funny if you think, Sebs, the reason why Alex struggles more with Zoom calls than he does on phone calls, because Alex never really done like actual sales, A-Rod. But we're running ads for Engage, and like we're working together to get him, so he could know how to do the sales, so then we could hire a salesperson. But it's exactly that. When he's on the phone, subconsciously he knows that people can't fucking see him. So he's very natural. He's himself. He speaks to them. He does well. When he's on Zoom, it's a whole different ballgame because now it's like a face-to-face meeting. And it goes back to that, man. And for him, it's a positive because he understands that the phone, that the people can see you. But I think it's something that the agent should adopt because people take that shit way too personal when they get mad. It's like, bro, just move on.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes to like the evenings or even like the weekends.
Or like, dialing too early. There's another one too that I see people are afraid of.
Who cares? Yeah. Who cares? Yeah. Who gives a damn?
I mean, if I'm sleeping, I don't pick up. That's the reality. But if they picked up, like, bro, you're awake now. If I woke you up, my bad. But listen, this is what I'm calling.
Exactly. If you wake them up, sorry.
But why they answer? Like, I've always said that. Like, do you answer really? If you're that tired, are you gonna pick up the phone? Like, bet you, if I was calling to tell you I'm gonna give you, I don't know, $1,000. I bet you're not too tired for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're too tired for insurance, for a form that you filled out, for information that you want, for protection for your family. No, bro.
Yeah.
Give me the importance that this shit deserves, and let's just get through this.
Yeah, but I think that translates that if you've got nothing to do, you might as well try to make some money is how I've always looked at it. And that helped me working on the weekends or working at night from home, because making some kind of effort is better than no effort.
For sure.
So if you went home at 6:00, which I never went home at 6:00, but let's say somebody does, and they're thinking about putting Netflix on, you can use that time to make some calls. Turn Netflix on if you want, but at least put in some kind of effort to make yourself some fucking money.
100%, but and obviously the whole point of this is to speak to your mindset, which you're doing a good job of, like, without actually having to script it. But it's like, how much do you actually care? Like for me, it's to this day, bro. I have enough money to live good for a long time, and like when I'm on my time off, I'm like, whether it's inviting people to our podcast or coming up with shit to do or finding ways that I can get better at some things or getting more leads on Sundays at Disney World with my kid, like to the point that is even unhealthy at times. But it's because I care that much. So I think I see a lot of my personal, and I want to know what your opinion is on the biggest mistake agents make, new agents. But I think the biggest mistake, in my opinion, that a new agent makes is they are not bought in enough, which is kind of pointless to get into this business if you're not going to buy in, because otherwise this shit is way too stressful to not buy in. This is way too 100%. Stressful to not want to make $250,000 minimum
100%.
When you work here. I know you told me that, and I'm like, yo, that's my number two. Like, for that, go do something else. It's just too stressful.
Yeah, we'll touch on that again.
This business sucks. Otherwise, this business is only good if you get paid. Make no mistake about it. But
for sure.
What do you think the biggest mistake new agents, or agents period, but especially new ones, make?
I think it's maybe not having a clear conversation with themselves about, not so much about what they say they want, but how bad they actually want it.
Yeah.
That's something my pops always told me. He says, it's not what you want, it's how bad you want it.
I think, spot on.
Because it's like, a lot of people want to make money. Everybody,
But that's
almost
so
everybody.
that's like
wants to
so
make money.
vague. Like I feel like we gotta break that down really.
But
And find the
it's-
real reason why you need to make money.
Yeah,
Almost.
and it's whatever the reason may be, it's how bad do you actually want the amount of money that you say you want to make? Because insurance, it's I don't think it's the easiest thing in the world, but this is the easiest gig I've ever done.
It's simple. It's
Very,
definitely
very
simple. Yeah, it might not be easy, but it's definitely simple. Yeah.
And I think what it has a lot to do with is that circumstances play a big role in how people approach certain situations or their perspective on things. Yeah. And I don't think circumstances should define the efforts that you put into anything.
100%.
Because we all want to make money, but are you the guy that's selling sunflowers, on 88th Street and 137 because there's no other way to put food on the table for your kids? You're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that guy's out working the shit out of you.
Right.
That's tough, dude.
For way
selling water bottles or something in the street.
Way less.
For way less.
Forget the income, for way less opportunity, period.
Yeah.
Like they ain't no getting out of that, bro. Yeah.
Right. But they show up every single day. I've never
Not seen
I've
them
bought water off of the street vendors many times and I've never heard them complaining.
Never. Total opposite.
They really want to provide or survive, right? Yeah. But we're not in the circumstances where we need to go out on the street to sell water bottles. We get to work in AC. We get to call branded leads or whatever it is that you have going on in insurance. And again, I don't think the circumstances should define the kind of effort that gets put in. And I think that's the biggest mistake that maybe it's not even an agent's mistake, but it's just like a commonality amongst everybody.
And I think it goes back to just your psyche and human nature that relax your subconscious. I'm big on psychology. I think everything goes back to psychology. I was talking about breaking down what making money actually means is, anybody's going to say, I want to make 20 grand, 250 in a year. But do you want to make 20 grand in a month? Like, do you actually want to? Because you told me that I could make 20 grand a month. This is actually how I got recruited. They told me I could make 20 grand in a month, and I was like, all right, what I got to do?
Yeah.
No questions asked,
Exactly.
Like, it's legal, perfect.
Yeah.
Borderline at the time, but it's legal, perfect. It's like, I see this all the time, and it hurts me because going back to circumstances, I mentioned timing earlier. So it might be timing, but
it could be. Yeah.
And then our job is to try to obviously show what the opportunity is, but it's almost to the point where like, you want to like sometimes sit somebody down and like really dive deep into their life and figure out what's stopping them from just making a decision to do the shit the right way. Because I've seen people of all walks of life do well in insurance. It's the craziest thing ever. It doesn't discriminate. It's not for everybody, but it does not discriminate. The opportunity doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
What sets them apart, it's the level of, the buy-in, the having the conversation with themselves, the making the decision that they want to go all in.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
I think a lot of agents, if not most, if not all, what they aren't really prepared for, which isn't their fault, is the mental fortitude that it requires. Mental fortitude, I think, is the most important thing, and that goes along with confidence as well.
For sure.
But you need to have some serious mental fortitude to succeed.
So to sustain the roller coaster.
That was a quote that I saw, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago, that greatness doesn't accept first-time applicants.
I loved it. I saw it too. Did you post it? I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, I posted it.
It was you,
Yeah, and I was like, damn, that's great.
Fire.
Because you're gonna hit those walls, you're gonna hit those speed bumps, especially early on in your career, and you gotta power through, man.
100%, bro.
You have to power through.
100%.
You just it was I think it was Jesse Itzler that says you never negotiate your goals.
Yeah. If you start negotiating with your goals, then they're not goals. They're dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. How do you prepare to be like, because mental fortitude is developed in a sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you're not born mentally strong, and maybe obviously your upbringing can probably play a part in that, but like we're facing shit every day that we haven't faced before at every level. How do you think somebody can stay mentally strong or just handle their emotions through the roller coaster of emotions of that?
Bro, I did a lot of things, man. First, I look at what's like. I remember when I first started in insurance, and I was in the office and whatever, and the big dog back then, his name was David Zalka, and he was, I think, in his mid 30s or early 30s when I started, and he was a killer, and everybody wants to be like David. And so, dude, like the first thing that I keep in mind is that if that guy has done it, then I can too. Plain and simple. Like, as long as I don't have some sort of like disability or something that's, stopping me, like I've got both my arms, both my legs, I'm breathing, I'm healthy, I'm all right, and he is too, or she is as well, there's no reason why I can't. It's just a matter of time, right? That's one thing that I always remind myself. If it's been accomplished, you can do it too. And same thing with things that everything that's been done at one point hadn't been done before. So right. Even though somebody else might be doing it, it could be new to you, but it doesn't mean that all you have to do is do it once in order to have the confidence to be able 100%. To replicate it. Kind of like riding a bike.
Yeah, once you get the hang of it, yeah.
Once those training wheels start coming off, you start shaking and shaking, but it's possible. Other people have done it. You've seen your mom or your dad ride a bike, so you can. So you just have to keep going and keep going.
And it's like humanity, if you think about it. Like when you're a baby, you gotta know how to crawl, how to walk, how to stand, how to run, how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
I think it's the progression is, and I've never thought about this, but it's kind of like not stopping your progression, because as human beings, we're progressing over and over again, and it's like an evolution almost in a sense. Do you do anything, and I would imagine maybe you do, for self-development, bro? Because you have a lot of, your demeanor is very like no bullshit. Obviously, yeah, it's going to suck, but I'm going to do it anyway because, yeah, it's the way it works.
None at all.
So you're just born like this.
Nah, I wouldn't say so, man. I wouldn't say so. I was a very shy kid growing up. But I don't know, man. I like accomplishing things, and that could also be a negative. Like chasing dopamine is very, very dangerous. It's very scary. It's very, very addictive.
It's an addiction, actually. Yeah.
I chase dopamine left and right when it comes to like succeeding in my career, for sure. So like, if I see somebody making a certain amount of numbers of sales, like it's like, okay, cool. Like I want to beat that guy. Nothing against him or nothing against her. I just want to be the best one. Right, like, that's it. Like
it's almost to prove it to yourself. Yeah.
It's almost like I want the attention, which is kind of shitty. Yeah. But like it's just self-fulfillment. Yeah, it's just what drives me, And I mean, mental fortitude, man. Like you said, it's developed. So I would tell my agents, like I call it like the 5-minute rule, and it's mainly to stay neutral all the time. So if you just got your, really, really big sale, celebrate for 5 minutes and then get back to work. 5 minutes, that's it. If, you got declines left and right or a bunch of cancellations and you want to bitch about it, then you got 5 minutes to bitch about it. And that's it.
I'm smiling, I'm not laughing, but because I have, so on Discord, we have like an accountability chat. It's not everybody's probably like 10 people on there. And the other day, I think somebody wrote like 2-3 policies and they were celebrating him. And I was like, obviously on the group chat, I kind of went along with it and celebrated. And then I fucking went on a 2-minute video rant on the Discord. And it's like, because I get more scared for agents when they do well than when they're doing bad. Because when you're doing bad, it's like, you got to do better, bro. Like, yeah, you could probably go down a dark rabbit hole, but we can pull you out of that, because ultimately you got to try to, produce to provide. But when people are doing well, it's when I get more concerned.
When a new agent has a hot start,
bro, that makes me so nervous. A kiss of death, bro. Like because now they think it's easy.
Yeah.
And it was almost to the point, and I said it harshly, and obviously people in that chat want to be held accountable. But it was almost to the point I was like, don't celebrate mediocrity. Like writing 2 policies in a day, it's the norm. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you did some.
And we're getting paid advances, man. That money's not yours yet.
Besides the point, but yes, 100%. Like you haven't accomplished anything. And it's almost to the point that you're still in the same situation where before. If you're doing well, you're still doing well. If you're broke, you're still broke. Whether you got to do a lot more than 2 policies, and it's that fear of like, okay, you did well, and then you go back to just kind of like exhaling a little bit to a certain extent, and not doing what you were doing before, losing that sense of urgency, and now you mentioned that, I'm like, yeah, man, 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes is what I should go with, but because I'm not big on. I've never been big, and I struggle with this. I'm trying to get better with like recognition. Mm-hmm. You get a paycheck, bro. And I mean this. And like, when I was at Sprint and T-Mobile, like I never wrote on the chats. I couldn't care fucking less for like a trophy or a certificate. I care about my commission check.
Yeah.
I care about getting promoted. You know what I mean? And eventually it was like a game. Like I had to like trying to get exposure to get promoted, which I hated. But it's one of those things that controlling your emotions, people think is, okay, when I'm down, I need to read a book or I need to meditate. But what are you doing when you're up?
Yeah.
Because when you're up is when it's dangerous, because now you could crash and fall. And now you taste it at once, and the feeling of losing it is almost more crushing than not getting it in the first place.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So the 5-minute rule for sure.
Yeah, it's
because cool. you don't want to, you don't want to dive too deep in either direction, because if you're too negative for more than those 5 minutes, then you're going to be discouraged on the next conversations that you have and the next phone calls. If you're too excited, you're getting a little too confident, you're a little too cocky, and then you can mess up some sales by being
100%.
acting too arrogant, really.
Yeah, 100%.
So definitely that. And
I got a question for you. Oh, wait, no worries. I got you. We're gonna wrap up soon. I think I went past 30, but you said some good stuff. How do you get a new agent to produce? Like, because you want to, obviously in this business, you need to have a hot start. Well, let me rephrase. You want to see some sort of traction early on, because you want to make sure the agents are getting paid. It is a commission only gig. What is a common denominator maybe of things that your agents do that allows them to have, success in the beginning? Because you guys do a really good job of that.
It's a tough question.
Yeah, I love when they take deep breaths. That means that they gotta think.
Well, first and foremost, I'm very selective with who I bring in.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean, you can't really decide whether someone's going to succeed or not off of like one interview. 100%. You know what I mean? But
what do you look for?
Personality.
Yeah.
Somebody that at least seems driven. Then again, everybody says they want to make money. Everybody says
I'm not a big fan of job interviews for that reason. Yeah.
No,
okay.
No,
you can pretend. Yeah. I mean, and I think you probably have a hard time articulating, but because you kind of know, because I know what you mean. You could tell when you meet with somebody if they've got it or not. So you're looking for the it factor. Did you feel it or did you not feel it when you met them?
Yeah, and definitely like feeding them to the wolves as quickly as possible. Don't take it too easy on them. Like start making calls like immediately. Yeah. Maybe not immediately, but maybe shadow for a day.
Right.
But some people want to shadow for a week. Or they want to shadow for 2 weeks before practicing the script. No, so you'll shadow for a day. Here's a script. Let's make some calls, and I'm gonna push you in.
How do you choose, or how do you decide who you want to put your focus on? Like you have a team, you have a bunch of agents. You cannot place a lot of focus on every single one.
I love that question. That's an awesome question. I pay attention to those that ask for it.
It's an awesome answer.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Absolutely. A lot of agents. New agents would have the impression that I was very intimidating or very serious, or I'm just not a nice guy because I've got like a resting bitch face apparently.
Right.
But
you do.
Yeah. But it's mainly because dude, when I first started, if I had a question, man, I was getting up from my chair immediately to ask, or I try to research or do whatever I can. So, and that's because I fucking wanted it. I really, really wanted it. I bothered the hell out of my uplines, or even people that weren't on my team that I knew were just doing well. Like I was bothering the shit out of them because I wanted to know how the hell do I get like you as quickly as possible so I can get better than you, Gotcha. And so I dedicate my attention. And of course, I always do the trainings, have people, everybody together.
Yeah, but I mean the real, individualized or that you're putting your time and effort into.
You got to come and ask me questions.
Gotcha.
You got to ask me for help, and I will stop everything that I'm doing to help you out. Awesome. Because it takes a lot of effort and a lot of balls, especially as a new agent, to go up and ask for help, man. It could be very scary. So the fact that someone's willing to do it, with no hesitation, I'm happy to help.
They want it bad enough.
Awesome. Absolutely.
All right, bro. So you dropped a lot of good nuggets here. Give me one last advice that you will give agents to make sure, going back to the mindset point, for them to have success in the insurance industry. What would you say?
Just remember that the main reason why people don't achieve their goals is because they give up what they want most for what they want now. So in moments, and you got to learn to welcome adversity. And so when life throws me a curveball, in a way I get excited. Nobody wants to deal with adversity. You're not hoping for it to happen, but when it does, it kind of excites me. And because I think there's a positive to every situation. So the way that I would look at it was, let's say I was making 6 figures for the first time. I was making 100K a year as an agent, my first year or whatever. And I, hit some speed bumps or start struggling. The way that I look at it is I have to be grateful that these issues are happening now, because I'd rather learn how to get over this hump today than when I have more to lose. Because if I'm making 100K a year today and I come across these issues and I don't know how to handle them and I can't get through them, what am I risking when I'm making $1 million a year and I hit these issues again? So whenever I face certain problems, I enjoy them. It maybe not enjoy them, but I'm I'm appreciative.
I
I'm
can't relate.
grateful
I can't totally
that it's
relate.
happening, because let that shit happen again, it's not gonna make a dent.
100%.
You know, like, so I'm happy it's happening now.
Perspective's everything. Yeah.
Try again later, and it's not gonna be as easy for you. It's gonna be easier for me,
Awesome.
and then just eventually everything gets easier, and then just any inconvenience, I look at it that way now.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for taking the time
bro.
to point in, bro. You dropped a lot of good shit. I think people are gonna love what they hear here now.
Hopefully.
And yeah, I will drop some value for them, man. You did good, and appreciate you, man. We gotta do shit again.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, man.